So today I'm going to talk about the question that I get asked all the time. Do I need money to buy a business? Do I need equity or capital? The answer is it's a lot easier if you do. It's possible to buy businesses without money. And the way you're going to do that is through 100% vendor finance. And that's one of the due diligence questions that you're going to be asking is, would you accept 100% vendor finance? It's almost the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth, especially if you've got no money. It's a very important question. If they don't accept 100% vendor finance, then the deal's off the table. If you do have capital and access to funding, because realistically, it's going to be very difficult for you to get any meaningful funding without using your own capital or your own assets as security. If you've got an existing business, it makes it a lot easier. So what are the features of a 100% vendor finance deal? Well, firstly, they're not easy to find. You're going to need to make at least 2,000 cold calls. You can shoot email first, but I prefer shoot phone call. Call, email, call, as opposed to email, call, email. Talk to 2,000 owners, not 2,000 messages left, you want to get in contact with the owners. So some key features of a 100% vendor finance deal is it's an owner, they're incredibly sick, they've got a walking stick, they're dying or their significant other's dying, they've got a business where their kids don't want to take over the deal, staff don't want to take over the deal. It's probably going to be in a regional town. Yes, you're going to have to move out there. Yes, you're going to have to be prepared to sleep on the floor. This requires an incredible level of sacrifice and commitment and obsession. And if that's not you, you need to turn the video off now and never watch this again, because this is not for the faint-hearted. These are the prices you have to pay for, achieving generational wealth. And in my opinion, it's the highest percentage way to achieve generational wealth. So what's a 100% vendor finance deal? Well, a 100% vendor finance deal, let's say the business is doing $1 million in revenue, it's doing $200,000 annually in profit. Banks might fund it at, say, 3 times EBITDA, at, say, 600. You can pay more because 100% vendor finance deal. There's no bank involved. It's just between you and the seller, which means, and the seller's going to say, well, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just keep the business? Well, they can. But often they're working in the business, and their lawyers are going to say, even after you strike a deal with them, their lawyers are going to say, what guarantees do you have? And your answer to that is there is no guarantee. If I default, you get the business back. And the whole point of it is they don't want the business back. It's like a car in a garage that's dusty, that's getting no love. It's like a piece of old junk in the junkyard. But if they close the business down, they've got often a duty of care to their clients, a duty of care to their creditors and their suppliers, a duty of care to the community, possibly, a family community, it's a family business or something like that. And, they really need to get out. And the magic words you want to hear from the seller's mouth is, how soon can we get it done? And they're always going to say, well, I want cash and stuff up front. But that's why part of your due diligence questionnaire process, which I'm going to give to you, ask the question, would you undergo 100% vendor finance? And often they won't know what vendor finance is. Or often they'd be like, oh, I got to talk to my accountant, or, what's vendor finance? And you just be upfront with it. You say, you pick the price, I pick the terms. They're the magic words that you use. How much do you think your business is worth? They say it's worth $1 million. You say, how did you calculate that? They say, sometimes they might have a valuation. Often they won't. Because many times businesses only have valuations when they're ready to sell. You're not going through a business broker. You're going through businesses that are off market. They aren't for sale. You contacted them. And a lot of the best businesses aren't for sale. You pick the price, I pick the terms. They're your magic words. And you can pay them whatever they want, as long as they've got the time. Because you've got an agreement with the seller. There's no banks involved. And let's be clear, 100% vendor finance deal is the vendor or the seller funds the deal. You're going to pay the business off using cash flow of this existing business. And you're not going to mention interest at the start. If they ask again, you can say, no interest first 2 years, principal interest for the third, fourth year, and remainder of principal and a balloon payment on the fifth year. Something like that. That's how you can structure a deal if they ask for interest. And then, you could ask, well, why would they sell you the deal? Why would they just give you the business if they're not even confident in your ability to operate the business? And the answer to that is you're going to have a board behind you. You're going to have a company profile with your mission objective. But most importantly, you're going to have experience behind you. And while you may not be experienced, you're going to leverage the track record of your board of directors that will have experience. And the most important experience that the vendors are going to care about are your industry experts. They want to know that there's someone within their industry that's going to be able to come over and, you're going to preferably have between 2 to 3 industry experts. People that can take over this business and manage it and run it properly. That's what you want. And that's why they would sell it to you, as opposed to closing it down. And you're not going to be buying the property. You're going to be taking over the business. And if possible, you want to be asking the vendor for working capital. Would you leave some money in the business? So these are some ways to navigate around funding when the banks won't lend to you because you don't have any cash or equity or property or anything like that. And we want to leave that out of it anyways. We want to leave our chips at home. When you start bringing your own money into it, the pungent smell of stinginess leaves a lasting foul taste in the vendor's mouth, in the funder's mouth. We want all these deals to really be self-funded. We want all these deals to stand on their own 2 feet. We want the cash flow of the business to sustain the debt service. We want to be looking for a debt service coverage ratio of 1.5 plus, meaning that business does 200,000 EBITDA. We're going to be paying 33% tax on that. So 33% tax on 200,000 is 66,000. So it's going to be 124,000 cash flow. So we want all of that cash flow to service the debt at a 1.5 times ratio. So we want 124,000 for this business to more than cover the debt, hopefully by 50% or more, because the business may drop off in profitability after we take it over. Obviously that's not the aim. The first thing we do when we take over this business is we want to, and we're not going to say this to the vendor and we're not going to say this to the staff. At the start we say, we want to keep running the business how it's always been run, keep everyone calm. But when we take it over, we're going to make some changes. We're going to increase the fees of the business, if possible. We'll probably lay off a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of inefficient staff, a lot of over-ordering. We'll be in the business, so, the staff won't be pulling the wool over our eyes and taking us for a run. Because a lot of people that work in a lot of businesses that take the onus for a run. And I can tell you that with too much, I get it. I still get it every week, So you got to be tough when you go in and run these businesses. And these people aren't your friends, and including the suppliers, and the reps that come around with their lipstick on and their tits out and, they're trying to seduce you. And most of the time, if you're emotionally stupid or weak or even an agreeable female, you say, I'll buy this from you. No, it's all about the bottom line. So, that's what we're going to be doing once we take over the business. And if we can do that with multiple deals and do multiple vendor finance deals, eventually what we'll do is we'll be able to revalue the entire company we'll have equity behind us, and then we can pull out a bunch of money against it. And that's how we can manufacture generational wealth. And after we pull cash out, so we've got the business, we've got it running for 6 to 12 months. We get some lines of credit. It's a leverage. This is a leverage-based system. We're pulling cash out against the businesses. If our board members have been working hard, give them bonuses at your discretion, which is how you're going to structure the company before the first board meeting. Yes, you're going to be giving the directors free founders equity. Yes, you're going to be giving the chairman free founders equity. You're going to be giving the CFO, lawyers, and in-house accountant free founders equity. Yes, you're going to be giving industry experts free founders equity. And they're not going to be getting paid cash until the business is generating enough revenue. And I'm going to finish up in a moment because I'm probably at my 10 minutes. But the board members are going to be what we call transient. The main anchored tenant for this entire operations is your chairman. And I can't tell you how many board members I've fired that have left while I'm changing across industries. But you really want these people to believe in your vision. You've got to take your LinkedIn profile. You have 2 times chances to make a first impression. Once when you open your mouth and once when people take a look at you. That's why I would prefer you to see the board members face to face to see if they'll believe in your vision and risk their reputation. Chairman, not so much. He's going to be on his way out, retiring. But a lot of the rest of the board members, they're in the peak of their career. So they're going to risk their reputation with you. So you've got to set an important first impression. Yes, you're going to be dangling the carrot in front of them, giving them free founders equity. But they still have to take you serious and know you're going to be able to deliver. And they don't. But you've got to try and give everyone that confidence to get on that train and believe in you and your vision. Because it's all going to be starting from you. Hope that was helpful. And